How about now? That should be better. I mean, would it be any other way? Let's just make sure that everything's working how we expect. And can we be heard? Yes. There we go. And I'm quiet? Well, let's see. Patrick Bateman's so cool. You strongly identify with him. Oh, good. How are our volumes and properties? Are we sounding good? Or are we a little bit quiet? Everything good? Everything good? Chat? How are you guys today? Hello, Redentorov. Hey, Payne. Oh, you don't think that Mika was referring to me? Oh, no. All right, well, let's try it a second time. Hey, guys, welcome to SATAC 2023. Today on January the 27th, 2024. Now, you might think, hey, hold on. How come we doing SATAC 2023 when it's 2024 already? We had to skip one a little while back, and as a result, we're still playing catch-up. We're just getting set up in the background here. Thank you very much, Painkiller, for the... I thought that the alerts had been muted. Oops. Anyway, thank you very much for the subscription, Painkiller. I hope you're having a good day. Hello, Spaceman. How are you? Just getting things set up in the background. Today's fight is going to be between ETF, Eclipse Task Force, versus ACR, Air Combat Roleplay. So we have some veterans going up against some new players. I think this is all going to be very exciting. Important to preface before we get into SATAC too deeply is that despite the fact that we all come from different areas and places throughout the world, and we all have our own beliefs and understandings, SATAC remains an apolitical organization focused solely on flying, where politics and personal biases are left at the door, and we focus on the one thing we care about at the moment, which is competitive DCS music. Jesus, DCS combat. Of course. Let's have a look at who we've got facing off. So today, ETF versus ACR. What more could you possibly want? Two really good teams, but of course all of the teams in this event always look absolutely fantastic. Let's have a look at some of the groups that we have facing off. In groups A and B, we have... just one second. Oh no, it didn't work. Goodness me. What about our sponsors? This year, we're sponsored by Heatblur, Eagle Dynamics, VKB, Magnitude 3, Lot ATC, Razbam, and TacView. Similar lineup that we had last year, and everyone's looking absolutely fantastic. The maps we'll be using this year you will all be familiar with, including Syria, the Persian Gulf, the South Atlantic, Russia, and Georgia. Today's fight will be taking place amongst the all too familiar Caucasus Mountains. While we wait for the server to get online and for everyone to get connected, we look forward to an exciting evening of competitive DCS. All right. Looks like we have people joining up in the background while we're just getting everything ready. Okay. And we'll get everyone gathered up and joined in. So how are you all doing today? Are you all feeling well? Hello, Techneticum. Good to see you. Good to see you. See if we can get some of these groups to look like they should. Okay. In Group C, we have Phoenix Task Force, Stormo Kakia Virtual, Red Star and Friends and ECM. We also have ETF, Air Combat Roleplay, CTAV, Tavern Squadron facing off, and of course, we're in Group D, ETF versus Air Combat Roleplay. Not much in the way of results to speak about just yet, but I'm sure that after today's matches and the ones that we've got going on tomorrow, we will be looking at some spicy new results. Of course, we have all kinds of cool tools to provide you with live views of all of the action. In the background, we will gather up ETF and ACR. What have you guys got going on in your lives this weekend other than some exciting DCS PvP? I love this sort of thing. It just gets me quite excited. Are you going to be streaming the fights themselves? Of course, that's what we're here to do. Where can you see the full tournament bracket? Well, if all of my OBS settings were correct, then I would be able to show you properly, but I can't. So, first off, let's recap. I wonder why groups A and B didn't work. Oh, I know why. Give me 1 second. Let's see. And here we go. All right, in groups A and B, we have Wolfpack, Golden Crown, and WTF and Dynamic DCS in Group A. In Group B, we have the 51st PVO, 3CB Whiskey Squadron, Esquadron de Combat 08, Lock on Greece Competitive. A lot of veteran teams we have showing up around here. In Group C and D, we also have Phoenix Task Force, 4th Stormo Kakia Virtual, Red Star and Friends, ECM. In Group D, we have Eclipse Task Force Air Combat Roleplay, our 2 competitors today, and CTAV and Tavern Squadron. In Group E and F, in E, we have 343rd KU and 9G, Earth Federation Forces, Toro Squadron, and then in F, we have the Alamo Aggressors. I'm gonna mess up that one. Garuda Virtual Air Wing and Fully Talked Kakia. My apologies. I should have looked up some of these names first. And then in groups G and H, we have InSky, Task Force Trident, the 238 Sea Vipers, the 25th Warehouse, the Art of Warfare in Group H, along with JFG Horsemen, CK 81st, and Bushido Fighter Group. Everyone's excited for the 343rd KU. I know they came 2nd place last year. Okay, Rucker has called heads. Let me flip a coin in the background. And it's tails. I'll make sure that next time I'll be able to show you that. But yes, it's tails. I'll have something to show you very, very soon. Nihon Ichiban! Oh, I'm so excited. I haven't got to do this in ages. It feels like it's been a year. Now, if you guys are familiar with the ETF, you'll know that they are the JF-17 experts. Let's see if we can't get a little look at people as they start to spawn in. 1 second, your patience will be repaid. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Caucasus Mountains. I'm sure many of you have been here before. This terrain is some of the most hotly contested within all of DCS. Those of you who've potentially played on Growling Sidewinder Open Conflict will be all too familiar with these rolling hills that provide ample opportunity for everyone to hide themselves away from long-range BVR shots and everything else that you could need. I'll get myself out of the way because you don't want to look at me. Anamaki, maybe later. But of course, we have these rolling hills and mountains with which everyone can take advantage of to hide. Let's provide instruction to the players. Start your planes. Line up on runway. Let me know when ready. Okie dokie. Let's have a look at who we have spawning in. On the blue side, we have Eclipse Task Force with Breeze, Riker, Anku, Dizzy, Electro Ball, and Lasky. All spawning in. I thought for a brief moment that I saw a F-15C, and of course they have their beautiful liveries all set up. The Eclipse Task Force, a fearsome veteran organization that has been competing in competitive DCS tournaments for many years. Some of their records include the SATAL 2021 4v4s, where they came second. In SATAC 2021, they came first. Last year, they came second. And in SATAL 2020, they came third/fourth. So they're looking handsome, and they master the JF-17. You've just got to love it. Don't they look good? Some of these names will be familiar to us from previous years if you've kept up with them. Meanwhile, let's have a look at ACR. Over on the ACR side, we have Spectre, 7 Fox, Pompey, Morgan, and Azarashi spawning in an F-16Cs with Big Meow in an F-15E. You know what? I should have asked whether or not he's got a Wizzo with him, or she, but otherwise they are a very fresh and new squadron. They said that they would like to use aggressor camouflage here. Custom skins with their names on are all pretty sweet. I agree. Don't they look fantastic as they get all started up and looking good? The limitations within SATAC, you can bring a maximum of 4 Fox 3 missiles and no AIM-9Xs. As you can see here, we're seeing a typical loadout on the F-16 with 4 AIM-120Cs and 2 AIM-9Ms. If we go and have a look at our JF-17 buddies, I'm sure we'll see much the same as they get themselves lined up on the runway. It's always a pleasure to watch ETF, as they are very, very organized, and they do like to show off a little bit as well. Bringing in the 4 SD-10s and the PL-52s on the wingtips. One of the interesting things about the JF-17 is whether or not they decide to bring the ECM pod. We see that their flight lead has an ECM pod, second has an ECM pod, third has an ECM pod, fourth has an ECM pod, and fifth has an ECM pod. They are all bringing ECM with them this year. Sometimes they wouldn't all bring ECM, but within the context of SATAC, ECM can be considered quite desirable, as it affects the lofting behavior of AIM-120Cs that get launched in combat. Essentially, if someone is using ECM, it deactivates the ability for hostile AIM-120Cs to be lofted against you. As we see Eclipse Task Force get ready to take off. Of course, in these DCS matches, it can be tricky to keep up with what everyone's doing. Fortunately, we have a little bit of a trick for that. If I come over here and put this here, and I don't break my whole setup while I'm doing it. Yes, alright, give me 1 second, I'll be impressive. I can also provide you with live TAC View playback as we watch everyone get involved. Doesn't this look fantastic? TAC View, of course, one of the beloved sponsors of SATAC 2023. And we can keep an eye on everyone getting ready at the same time. Looks looks like we have Riker, Breeze, Dizzy, Anku, Electroball, and Lasky all getting set up and ready to go. And over on the red team, we have ACR. Not quite moving just yet, but they're nearly there. We have Big Meow, Spectre, Seven Fox, Prompe, Morgan, and Azarashi looking good. All right. I reckon we'll see ETF saying that they're ready to go in just a second. So, the form of this battle will take. Once any aircraft enters this central circle, then a 5-minute timer begins. If they occupy the space for 5 minutes uncontested, they win. However, with everyone taking off at the same time, it's more likely than not that they will end up contesting the point. At that point, it's a fight to the death. Once the other team has been either wiped out or forced out of the circle, the fight's not over yet. You have to do all of that and also keep enough fuel to be able to return to base. Both sides provided lovingly with a Boeing E-3 Sentry to provide data link in these opening matches. However, the knockout stages will require a human GCI. As we see ACR beginning to taxi their way over to the runway, I get the feeling that it's only a matter of time before we start seeing our first battles. Everyone is looking very good. And getting moving here. So, if anyone has to bet or has any predictions for this, the first round of the first match of SATAC 2023, who would you be putting your money on? The youngsters in the F-16s with an F-15E in support, or the veterans in their JF-17s? Let me know what your thoughts are. In fact, let's have a look at what some of these F-16s are bringing. Fuel tanks to be expected, but also on the bottom here, we have the ubiquitous ECM pod as well. So, just like the JF-17, ECM mounted on the underlying pylon, at least for the lead aircraft. Let's check out the rest. ECM, 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 and ECM, and then of course we have the F-15 with ECM as well. In fact, does the F-15's built-in ECM work just yet? Yeah, you can tell this is an air-to-air fight. Hasn't even brought his nav flare and targeting pod. And of course you can see that because of the limit of 4 AMRAAMs, the F-15 has put 2 AIM-120Cs on the conformal fuel tanks along with 2 Sparrows. Now those Sparrows are not to be underestimated as they are good. Just for basic self-protection? No worries. The SD-10 has the best missile performance. It comes and goes. These days, the SD-10 has a higher drag profile than it used to. But, so it can be outranged. Man, look at ETF. They like to show off with their skills. They are a capable and veteran team. So, any chance to show off their skills, they always take. And with this lineup here, and everyone perfectly, I mean, you could, I've seen mechanical engineers that can't line themselves up this precisely. They are looking good. SAG A Industry, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome to SATAC 2023. Can we please get a shout out for them? Welcome in. I hope you're excited for some competitive DCS flying. Let us know. Let us know. I Lots of teams have customized skins. Obviously, ACR are quite new. They are, in fact, would you believe it, are a DCS community from Thailand. They're not normally a competitive squad, but they're milsim enthusiasts. But they won ARRCO in 2023, last August, September. It's a small 2v2 BVR competition in the Southeast Asia region. So they wanted to try a world-class event. They say, though we're small, they have every member of their group showing up today. So the entirety is here to show up. All right, let's get ready. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, go, go. All right, and that's it. That's all she wrote. Welcome to SATAC 2023, the first fight of the first match. The entire event is off to a flying start. We see the first 4 jets of ETF take off and soar up towards the sky. It's not uncommon to see them separate out into different directions. These formations, there is a million different ways of going about the battle. Let's have a look at how ACR are looking. Azarashi leading the pack. It looks like they're doing more of a staggered takeoff. From memory, and the last time I commentated an ETF match was they would typically separate out into 2 discrete groups. So there would be 1 pair of 2 that went north and 1 pair of 2 that went south, and then they would have additional players in support heading into the vulnerable weak points in the enemy's defense that they detect. Formation or nothing. You have to keep in mind, this isn't roleplay, this isn't milsim. This is not meant to be a representation of reality by any stretch of the imagination. This is all about DCS PvP and seeing who can be the last one standing in the midst of this circle. 7 Fox taking off beautifully in the F-15-16. Oh my goodness. Can tell it's been a while since I've had my coffee. I'm sure it will kick in no time at all. Looks like they're beginning to separate out into their discrete groups. And am I good or am I good? We see 2 pairs of ETF pilots. 2 of them going north, 2 of them going south, and then their support aircraft in the background. We're seeing some combat formations beginning to take shape here. The JF-17, of course, an interesting design, one of the most modern aircraft within DCS, an affordable aircraft designed for export sale to Pakistan, built in China. And a very, very capable aircraft it is. Hamstrung slightly, though depending on who you ask, it's not a downside at all, by a smaller internal fuel tank. However, the engines can be very, very efficient. So as they soar up to these higher altitudes, they'll see their fuel consumption go down. And of course, you want to get every bit of speed you can for those long-range opening BVR shots. We are looking good. All right, so let's have a quick look at the TAC view. 1 second. So, it's looking like ACR is sending a group of 3 down towards the coast, and the second group is separating out relatively widely, more towards the inland area. Over here we see the close formations of ETF pilots getting all sorted out as they prepare to head into the circle. Once the opposition occupies the circle, you only have 5 minutes to get in there, so you don't want to be lazy and accidentally forfeit the match before it's even started. We can see that the 3 ACR aircraft are currently passing just below 20,000 feet and climbing in a loose combat formation. However, The ETF JF-17 leaders have nice and neatly, led by Riker, head up to a clean 30,000 feet. We are looking capable and ready for battle. Up at this altitude, JF-17's engine shouldn't be drinking too much fuel, but of course, you don't want to stay in afterburner for too long, which they are. That being said, you don't want to get yourself into some ACM with those wing tanks still on. Here we can see some of the victories of the ETF as they pass just alongside their E3 Sentry. How far separates these two groups? Let's see. Do you guys prefer the satellite view or the alt view or the map view? I don't like the map view at all, but the satellite view I think is good. Of course, it's better if I actually show you what's going on. Okay, current separation between the two teams is 141 nautical miles, so probably not even getting any locks on anyone just yet. Though with that being said, those F-15Es add a whole bunch of, oh, that's weird. How did I do that? These F-15Es can look all that far these days. Here we are with the northern group of ETF. Yes, the ETF are Jeff pilots through and through. They don't mess around, relying on those SD-10 Fox 3s to do a lot of heavy lifting for them. Of course, the AIM-9X is not permitted in SATAC. However, even compared to the AIM-9M, sometimes the PL-5 short-range heat-seeking missile can leave a little bit to be desired in terms of performance. Though with that being said, these SD-10s are nothing to thumb your nose at, as they have excellent INS and engagement capabilities. The ETF countermeasure / ECM pod will be banging away shortly, preventing everyone from getting too much of a good look, and we shall see ETF crossing into the zone any moment now. We shall be receiving an alert that the circle has been occupied. SPJ jammer pod, of course, that's right. Blue has taken control of the battle area, so ETF places down the gauntlet. Meanwhile, we have the ACR pilots heading in. They won't get disqualified. Big Meow in the F-15E at 41,000 feet, looking for some trouble. Of course, the record for the shot that was fired last year was 100 nautical miles, with an AIM-120C going all the way up to 100,000 feet in the air. This is red hot and live, Mesa Merc. This is happening as we speak. And the battle area is now contested. Separating these two teams, we have 90 nautical miles. The JF-17's at 30,000 feet, and the F-15 at 40,000 feet, followed up by the F-16s at 31 and 27, respectively. The closer formation of three, including Azarashi, Morgan, and Prompe, heading in towards the south, towards Breeze's group, separated currently by 88 nautical miles. How fast is that Eagle going? That Eagle is currently going at 459 knots. Basically, at absolute light speed, let's be honest. We shall see the first missiles come off the ring. Whoa, geez. 948 knots true speed. So I know there's a way you can get that in Mach, but I can't remember where. Looks like Big Meow has got his first glimpse of the JF-17s and is not just going to head on them. It's indicated airspeed. Yes, in fact, I'll make the chat invisible for you because I think that you guys will probably be more concerned with the gameplay. There you go. Yeah, he's going at light speed. It remains to be seen. Current separation between the groups. The southern group is separated by 70 nautical miles. The northern group, much the same. Let's join in with Breeze and Riker and see who gets the first missile. They've dropped their tanks, which is to be expected at this early juncture. Right now, all we need is for the first missile to come off the wings. Looks like 7 Fox is throwing down the gauntlet at 35,000 feet. But who is going to fire first? Big Meow has fully retreated from the zone and looks like after getting the information on where the ETF JF-17s actually are, has circled back just to reorganize. Each ACR still with their tanks on, but they'll be getting rid of those before they get stuck in, I'm sure. You want to gain as much speed as possible before engaging in those BVR launches. Looks like Lasky is beginning a northern flank as the rest of ETF continues heading towards these two groups. This strategy by ETF, I mean, there's a reason they do it. Current separation, 40 to 50 nautical miles. I think that we may see a launch happening soon. Come on, come on. They're just inching towards each other now. Current separation is 34 nautical. They have to have each other locked up. Still got his tanks on. 7 Fox is going to... Oh. 7 Fox detects that there is something going on here. Begins maneuvering, still with the tanks on. No launches just yet. But is starting to go cold. And ETF appears to have made the decision for the southern group and the northern group to converge in a pincer movement down the middle. With ETF, Riker, and Breeze starting to head towards the middle from the south, and the northern group coming to meet them. This is tricky to deal with because we have a JF-17 launching the first missile off the rails, an SD-10A going absolutely stratospheric, passing 50,000 feet. Now, where could it be going? Big Meow launches an AIM-120C in response. These missiles are going to be going particularly fast, but so long as they keep their heads on a swivel. The two pair of JF-17s, this separation here is only 20 nautical miles, so they better be careful they don't catch themselves right into the midst of a fight here. The red AIM-120C is making progress, and so is the SD-10A. No launches from the southern group just yet, but we have Breeze pushing towards them. This AIM-120C, has it got any track at all? It may well have. Passing by Dizzy just by inches, but not targeting him. That one was going for Lasky, and Lasky is not willing to get into a mix there. This SD-10 has lost its energy, and its target will not be engaging too enthusiastically, but we have a SD-10 shot at relatively short range. Things are starting to heat up. This one's going towards Morgan at 30,000 feet, who will probably want to start maneuvering shortly. Still got his wing tanks on. The northern group, we have Electro Bull and JF-17 launching against Spectre. These two missiles are going to pass past each other in the air. Let's see if this one connects. SD-10A heading in towards the vulnerable F-16. And impacts the first loss for ACR as Electro Bull gets the first kill, but has an AIM-120C hot behind them. Are they going to be able to maneuver in time It's going to be close, but it's looking like this missile may not have the energy to stick around. In the southern group, we have two SD-10s going towards Prompe, who is desperately maneuvering in order to get away and disappears in a puff of smoke. That's 2 down for ACR, who are currently 4 against 6. Breeze is in trouble, but is maneuvering low in amongst the terrain to spoof that AIM-120C shot that was getting desperately close. At SD-10 launched against Morgan, no effect just yet. Another AIM-120C from Big Meow heading towards the northern group as Dizzy fires an SD-10 in response towards 7 Fox, who says, I'm not just going to let you do that, and fires an AIM-120C. They basically shake hands in the air as they pass by each other, both going cold, and ETF looks like a C-fit into the ground, attempting to dodge that missile. ETF loses 1 plane. We are 5 against 4. 7 Fox going cold, still has his tanks on, has fired 2 AIM-120Cs. Electro Bull has 3 SD-10s and is chasing down Big Meow like his own money. Morgan launches an AIM-120C against the group currently in amongst the southern mountains. Difficult to do when there's terrain to mask behind, but if ETF isn't paying attention and sneaks up for a snapshot here, then you can get yourself in some serious trouble if you're not paying attention. The northern group's now doing battle. An AIM-120C with very little energy, currently chasing nothing in the sky. The southern group, this AIM-120C may have a look at Breeze, but Breeze just needs to, lose it amongst the ground clutter. That's the importance of this whole situation. An SD-10 launched against quite a high up F-16. Let's see if it meets it. Pumped out that countermeasures. And no dice, but it was damn close. All right, so 4 versus 5. We have 7 Fox in the F-16 in serious trouble. Finally got rid of those tanks. Only has 1 AIM-120 left as Riker, Anku, and Breeze start heading towards the group of 3 in the southern group with another SD-10 launched. Going quite high. Azarashi launching an AIM-120C from close range and going defensive. Got the navigation lights on just for style points. Another AIM-120C launch from Big Meow as an SD-10A comes out in response. This AIM-120 looking like it's going towards... Let's see. Can they spoof it into the ground clutter? Looks like they can. Okay, this one still has energy though, so let's not take that for granted. As 7 Fox gets himself in serious trouble here. That is a ground unit. And I thought the view for Padlock was F9, but it's clearly not. There we go, and impact! Sadly, 7 Fox's lock runs out as he is cleaned up amongst the northern group. As Lasky and Electro Bull, having had lost one of their comrades, are going to be looking for revenge as Azarashi and Morgan realize that the mountains belong to ETF. In terms of missile stockpiles, we have 2 AIM-120Cs on Azarashi. Morgan has 3, and Big Meow is rolling with 1 AIM-120C left, 2 Sparrows, and then it's heaters all the way. Electro Bull, 1 SD-10 left. Lasky, 2 SD-10s left, with Breeze carrying 2, and Riker carrying 2. This is looking concerning, worrying even, frustrating and frightening for the boys in ACR. A launch off the wings, more SD-10s going absolutely wild. But there's an AIM-120C coming in response. Azarashi is not going down without a fight, as an AIM-120C starts heading towards Riker at a rate of knots. He's going to have to maneuver pretty hard to get away from this. No dice. Riker goes down. Oh, actually, no hit. Never mind. Proximity fuse did go off. Big Meow now has to evade an SD-10 and has got plenty of speed. Oh, jeez. Big Meow is out of the fight as Arashi and Morgan, the last one standing at 20,000 feet with an SD-10 coming in towards you. There is little you can do when all you're packing is a pair of Sidewinders and one AIM-120C. You're going to have to want to pump those countermeasures if you've still got any left, as there are missiles coming in all over the place. But it's not over yet. We see the noose of ETF tightening around ACR. That being said, Morgan has picked out Lasky, who is currently going defensive, has no SD-10s left, and is probably saying to his friends right now, I have got an F-16 that wants me dead, and I need someone to come and help me. Electro Ball, Riker, Breeze, and Anku saying, all of us want to get Azarashi. He got lucky by dodging that missile, which didn't quite kill him. However, he's got one AIM-120C left in a dream. Alright. Azarashi heads in, launches their last AIM-120C, a relatively high off-bore sight shot towards one of the pursuant ETF. However, it does look like it might have found him. Just off its nose. All you've got to save you is ground clutter now. Duck in behind the hills. Is it going to work? Ooh, this is going to be tight. This is going to be tight. And spoofed it. That was very close. Okay. Morgan gets impacted, but Lasky has an AIM-9M going towards him. Manages to spoof it into the ground. It is Azarashi, the last one standing against 5 members of ETF. Let's have a look and see what they're dealing with. Azarashi currently equipped with a couple of heat seekers and not much else. Launches an AIM-9M. No splash. Launches a second AIM-9M. That one also goes for flares. We are in BVR. They are merged now. This is a gunfight. Fantastic countermeasuring. AIM-9Ms, they can be tricky to spoof sometimes. A PL-52 comes off the rails. It's coming in straight towards Azarashi, who takes it, and Blue takes control of the battle area. Unfortunately, the last of ACR's pilots have succumbed, and still standing for ETF, we have Lasky, Riker, Breeze, and Anku. It's time to head home and land to secure this victory. Well done to ACR for putting up a valiant fight against the ETF. It's not easy. The ETF is a veteran team that has participated in a great many events. So, taking their performance and challenge and seeing what you can do with it is tricky. Let's have a look at the TAC view and see some of the things that we missed. So, of course, we had the match. Oops, there we go. We had the match start off, and the first missiles. Now, this is. I've seen ETF do this a bunch of times, and it is hard to deal with. So, ETF will start off by luring you into a false sense of security by having their separate groups spreading out onto the sides. And then, once they figure out where you are and what they want to do, almost all 4 of them at the same time begin merging towards each other. And then they head straight in. This is what happens when you know your timings. The 2 groups separating And then joining back up together, the first AIM-120C shots and SD-10s in reply, coming from Big Meow, launching at quite a long-range angle towards Lasky. And of course, Lasky will well and truly know that that is coming. The Eagle didn't make use of his speed. What I'm curious about here is why Big Meow, despite having ostensibly the speed and altitude advantage against the JF-17s, heading in at 1.6 Mach, launching one missile, and then just kind of going cold after that. Obviously got an SD-10 shot in after him, but you should be able to spoof an SD-10 at that range. Let's see if we can find where Dizzy ended up going down for ETF. I think Spectre was the first one to take an SD-10 from ETF. Yeah, Spectre goes down, and that came from Electro Bull. So Electro Bull spots Spectre, launches a high lofting SD-10. An AIM-120C does come off in reply, but you can just see that Electro Bull is already cranking with his SD-10 off the rails, and Spectre just launches an AIM-120C and starts cranking almost a full 5-10 seconds afterwards, and that is just not quick enough. Let's see if we can see where we lose Dizzy. So what happened here? Let's go to Dizzy. Dizzy's maneuvering and has a fairly spicy AIM-120C, but just loses track of it. I'm not entirely sure what would have prompted that, except perhaps unexpectedly getting a missile warning. Anyway, Dizzy probably just pulled it a little bit too hard there. Unlucky. And then in the southern group, Prompe with simultaneous launches from Riker and Breeze. The first one at long range, and the second one at closer range. And when you're maneuvering against two SD-10s, one of which is lofting, one of which is just coming straight for you. Are Tomcats banned here? No, not at all. Flash. You're not going to get away from it, not at that range. Then, in amongst the terrain, here we see the importance of terrain masking. I mean, look at this. So, Breeze pulls some maneuvering. The AIM-120C tries to react, loses sight of him, just flies straight into the terrain. The amount of SD-10s, or rather AIM-120Cs, and look here, see it again. AIM-120C comes off the wings from Morgan, and ETF Breeze just scoots around. Got a little bit lucky here that they didn't get caught up by the AIM-120C as it went active here. I think noticing that and going cold just to hide in amongst the terrain a little bit better. Those horrible AIM-120C turns though. Yeah. Well, you can use any aircraft with any missile you want, within reason, so do you think the SD-10 is that much better? Yeah, just terrain masking all the way through. Breeze making it look like a breeze. The rest of the fight feels fairly comprehensive. We have Big Meow. 7 Fox, unfortunately, is just in a bad spot. Not enough terrain to hide in. SD-10s coming in to ruin your whole day. You've got Lasky and Electro Bull. They just want you to go. You're currently formation flying with an SD-10, which is always a bit stressful. But, you know, I'm sure the Betty within the F-16 is just saying, chaff, flare, and another SD-10. doing a decent job of keeping the two in the north busy, but you're not going to get away from that. As Big Meow just gets scared. Here we see Big Meow obviously have an SD-10 launched, but this SD-10 now is quite thoroughly defeated and is not going to get you. Big Meow just taking a very long time to turn and recommit, all the while kind of leaving their colleagues out to dry. But otherwise, a fairly comprehensive clinic. And let's have a look at where everything ended for Morgan. So, let's see. Morgan faced down a JF-17, launches an AIM-9, gets a PL-5 in response. The AIM-9 spoofed by the countermeasures. Unlucky. And then Azarashi, the last one. Let's have a look. Just in real trouble at this point. But check out this masterful countermeasure usage. Anticipates the AIM-9 launch and is already flaring, pre-flaring the AIM-9 launch. And spoofing it, and then pre-flaring the second AIM-9 launch and dodging it just by centimeters. That was close. Azarashi now missileless and listless. An SD-10 flying in formation, but was it Lasky that circled around and fired another PL-5? Or was it the SD-10 finally catching up? Yep. One more PL-5 launch. I reckon Azarashi probably doesn't have any countermeasures left. Oh, and Lasky gets a filthy kill steal as both Breeze and Riker fire PL-5s at very short range. Currently has 3 heat seekers going for them, and it is all over Red Rover. Let's see how everyone's going back to base. It looks like Electro Bull, Anku, Breeze, Riker, and Lasky are gently making their way home. The SD-10s proving their worth. It always goes to show that the JF-17 Thunder, people have differing attitudes towards the aircraft, and certainly whenever it comes to a list of BVR monsters, it doesn't always get brought up. Though that being said, I do think it's probably one of the most capable aircraft in the entire sim. Just about how you use it and how you apply it. And I think ETF has a real mastery of being able to put their planes to good use. So, chat, what are your opinions? What are your takeaways? If you were ETF, what do you think went well and what do you think went wrong? If you were ACR and you're coming up against this monstrous JF-17 threat, how do you think you would pick it apart? Do you think there's any way out of this battle? Do you think a tactics change is what it needs or an aircraft change? They absolutely dominated the early fight with that pincer move. It's true. Now this is where it becomes important to have a look at the sorts of fights that ETF have done before, because I have cast ETF fighting in these matches before, and I have seen what they do. And that pincer maneuver, after separating out into northern and southern groups, is very typical for them. I think they're trying to bait out the initial BVR launches at long ranges for the Western aircraft, and then bring them into a tangle and responding into them and picking them apart in smaller battles. You can see that there was a concentrated effort in the south to keep the southern group busy while two planes pursued the Solo in the north and just prevented them the opportunity from getting any help from their buddies. Can DCS fix the notch, please? You'd have to pre-plan a defensive play. That's got to happen in the pre-brief. It's true. Of course, ETF, I think... Did they win or did they come second last? I'll have to check the results from last year. They did very well, but there are some ways of picking apart these fearsome JF-17 pilots. Not the least of which is they can occasionally struggle a little bit if you get them in close within the mountains and engage with a little bit of close-range tomfoolery. And of course, if you wanted to, you could try and bring along some AIM-54Cs in the F-14s, though with the way notching is happening within DCS at the moment, perhaps they would just be too easy to evade. It's a typical notch press tactic, incredibly effective, but very gamey, being a reliable tactic for much too long. Oh, absolutely, but by the same token, if it was perfect, they would have won last year. I think that losing control of the mountains is always difficult on these Caucasus maps. If you let the enemy have unfettered control of the mountainous area and provide them with an opportunity to force you into the more open ground that's just above the mountains on the Caucasus map, then I think that you're in for a real struggle. If they race to the mountains with the 16s, they could use the terrain to outmaneuver. I would say the 16 does handle better about the mountains, and also you have your helmet-mounted sights to be able to pull off more exciting snapshots with the radar. Of course, the JF-17 does have close-in dogfight modes, but they're not brilliant, at least not in my experience, typically just resorting to vertical stand. It's a situational awareness thing, I think, though. As all too often, I think we see people rely a little bit too much on their HSD for their situational awareness, and suddenly they have JF-17 slipping around in amongst the mountains. I would expect that they're doing that pincer and you just all drive on them and pincer them back. Well, exactly. What they're trying to do is they're trying to separate out the hostile targets into discrete groups and destroy them in detail in smaller engagements where they have numerical advantages, which is tricky to pull off, but they do manage to do it quite enthusiastically. Yeah, absolutely. Though, those sorts of rigid strategies, I think, when it comes to notch and burn, can occasionally not be flexible enough to deal with unconventional strategies. I think, if anything, the JF-17 does struggle a little bit with unconventional weapons. Oh yes, you've still got chaff and flare. Fair enough, fair enough. Well done, Electro Bull, your team's done well. Assuming all 5 of them don't crash on landing here, then this will be round 1 for the Eclipse Task Force. And there we have it. 1 JF-17 happily down. And that secures the first round for the Eclipse Task Force. Surprising, because the Jeff has no chaff or flare. Yeah, it's true, actually. I don't know where I got the idea that the SPJ pod contained additional countermeasures. I think, for some reason, I get that mixed up with the MiG-21. Anyway, time to update the scores as we see ETF put one on the board. Congratulations to ETF on securing the first round of this SATAC. Where the pods are how you get countermeasures on the Viggen. Yeah, that's true. Looks like, who is next? We have Anku coming in for landing. Gear down. Shall we do a little bit of a landing rating stream? Let's see. Speed looks good. Altitude looks good. Angle of attack seems acceptable. G's seem fine. The JF-17's extremely strange little air brakes poking out there. Of course, you do have the added benefit of a little bit of a parachute, which does make these short-field landings a little bit easier. Ooh, I was going to say butter. We're getting a little bit of an aero brake. No parachute. See, you're just showing off now. Hey, how you going? Welcome in. And that is a clean JF-17 landing. Margarine, yeah, not quite butter, but, you know, close. Who have we got left to come in? We have Breeze and Riker. Triumphantly returning home. Breeze is flying a very light aircraft here at the moment, and definitely, I don't know what this is a victory mark for, but whatever he shot down, I guess we can all say, "Beesh." A very pretty aircraft. In fact, here's a trivia question for you. These dots that are in front of the air intakes here, I know they have a name and a special purpose, but I can't remember what it is. Do any of you guys know what these are? Also, the ducts. Strangely enough, this is an interesting factoid for you. Of all of the player-controlled planes within DCS, the JF-17 has the smallest radar cross-section of them all. Now, does RCS count that much? It's tricky to say. But, ostensibly, it has some stealth. The mark on Breeze's tail is just a self-portrait? Sheesh. Boundary layer diffuser. Ah, I see. Well, ETF Aspen, any fun facts about your squadron? Where did you guys meet each other? How'd you find your members? And I recognize a lot of these names over the course of years. How long have you been flying together, if you don't mind me asking? The bulbs also help with the radar as well. Well, of course, you can see that the engine intake is hidden away from view. I think every JF-17 pilot can agree with me. I just wish that this thing had a helmet-mounted sight. ETF is an international group formed in 2020. Block 3, please. Oh no, oh no. Oh well. At least the JF-17 pilots get to have a nice lady in the cockpit talk to them. Part of me is wondering if Breeze is low on fuel, because he's flying slow. We are adding it when Pakistan implements it. Oh, I see. Alright, Breeze. Show us what you got. You might want to lower your gear. All right. Oof. Ooh, hello. All right. Back safely on the ground. How embarrassing would it be to crash on landing? Oh, I would never imagine, or even dream, really, of criticizing any of these pilots, considering that just about anyone in this competition would quite easily slaughter me in any kind of engagement. We've got one more plane left to go. We've got Riker coming in. Round of applause, claps in the chat for ETF for successfully getting her done. I get the feeling that that Riker and Breezy might have potentially not quite had as much fuel on the end as they wanted. In fact, can Riker even... can Breeze even taxi away? Or is he gonna... Are we gonna have to get out the tow trucks to, to bring him back? That's a very quiet sounding aircraft. Have we still got anything happening here? Nope. Those fan blades ain't spinning. I think when it comes to our fuel quantity is sheesh. And one plane left. Yeah, we go. As Riker comes in. Pops out the nice little parachute. And if Breeze is lucky, we'll be able to hop out and give him a push. Well done, ETF. We'll send out the tow trucks to go take care of you. Of course, the ETF members still have ordnance and fuel. Oh, yeah. We need to turn the plane on to have the hydraulics to close these, you know. You can't just turn off your plane without closing your air brakes. Alright, the mission will be restarted in 2 minutes. Now would be a perfect time to get yourself a drink, stand up, and get ready for round 2. Alright guys, get yourselves excited. I'll be right back. All right, guys, how you all going? What did you think of the matches so far? Are you having fun? I know I am. I love this. All right, we'll let everyone know that the server's back up and good to go. The teams now will be switching sides, with ETF forming our red section and ACR filling in on the blues. Of course, this stream isn't about me, it's about SATAC, but I would like to say thank you to everyone who has followed. So, quickly, thank you. Nicoden712, Lawson9527, Cynic the Hedgehog, Sag A Industry, and thank you for the raid, of course, and Beats Eater. Hope you're all enjoying yourselves very much, and Fruitcake as well, thank you. My name is Airshow, I'm an aviation-centric VTuber. Plays a lot of DCS and all that sort of thing, so if you're into this kind of content, feel free to hit me up. And of course, if you're into this sort of competitive aviation, then go and check out the 51st PVO as well, who have been hosting SATAC for a very, very long time. Don't forget to also say thank you to our sponsors. Heatblur, Eagle Dynamics, VKB, Magnitude 3, Decker Ironworks, Razbam, TacView, and Lot ATC. Of course, we are seeing ETF and ACR facing off against each other as we head towards round number 2. Okay, guys. Better give you something to look at, because I know you don't want to look at me. Let's have a look at those beautiful JF-17s as they get moving. Once more, the team members that we have lining up here, we have Lasky, Dizzy, Electro Ball, Anku, Riker, and Breeze. Extremely capable pilots, all in JF-17s, representing the ETF. On the blue side, we have ACR, Azarashi, Morgan, Prompe, Spectre, 7 Fox, and Big Meow. Poor old Big Meow has to start all by their lonesome all the way over here. Going for a nice little tan camouflage this time. Looking good. Not entirely sure how well that will fit in with the Caucasus Mountains, but you know what? Far be it from us to criticize anyone for their fashion choices. Meanwhile, we have the beautiful blue-looking aggressor camouflage F-16s. I encourage you guys to give ACR plenty of love and support, as they are a young, new group originating from Thailand, and they are a large group of enthusiasts making their entrance onto the world stage. So make sure that you give them all the love and praise that they deserve, because just forming a team and getting involved in a competition like this is plenty difficult. Best of luck to them. Let's go have a look and see how ETF are going. You see, these guys are so disciplined and organized that they even taxi in order. They don't mess around. Now, the real question is that if this were to happen later on in the year, do you think we would see any competitive teams really throw caution to the wind and try and bring along an F4 Phantom into this competition? Of course, last year we did, I think the most extraordinary aircraft we saw on the lineup was, we saw a MiG-29, which was definitely an interesting choice. I'm not entirely sure if it worked out for them, but, you know. Of course, with the introduction of the F-15E, we have several squadrons that were flying the F-15C formerly, and we asked them at the time, once the Eagle comes out, will you be transitioning? And they had a mix of answers depending on how the airframe forms, though I do believe that quite a few of these players have now transitioned over to the F-15E from the F-15C, taking advantage of advanced radar modelling, though the absence of the data link is always a bit of a sore point. That being said, if you were experienced flying the F-15C, then you were used to not having a data link in the first place. Interesting to see them go for JF-17s. Oh, look, you don't know the half of it. This whole squadron flies JF-17s exclusively, and they, tell you what, they get work done with them. Yes, I think there has long been discussion of a SATAC equivalent for third-generation aircraft. Now, I mean, you can see that they're just lined up to the inch in terms of accuracy. Meanwhile, we have over at Sochi Adler, ACR bravely taking the stand. Those beautiful blue F-16s, looking good, looking organised. Oh, and here we have a little bit of a flying V formation. Everyone's bringing their ECM pods again, so this will be a tricky fight. They always bring the ECM pods when they want to bring the fight in a little bit closer. See the last F-16 rounding the corner now. ETF will likely report ready very shortly, and ACR will follow them in no time. All right. ETF looking good. Now, sometimes, especially if you're flying something like the JF-17, where every drop of fuel counts, sometimes they like to take just a little bit of time on the runway to replace their wing tanks just to get that extra tiny little bit of competitive edge with full fuel. And there we have it. I reckon ACR wins the style points for this lineup, with everyone looking like they are exactly where they want to be. Both teams report ready. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go, go, go. And there we have it. The first of the F-16s for ACR on the takeoff roll. It'll be interesting to see if their formations change, as we see ETF get up in the air in tight formation. Yeah, you got the Jeff all cheeked up, got the wings all full. Of course, there's no room for mistakes if you crash into each other when you're taking off. That is not going to get you any free points. No do-overs. Alright, let's have a look and see how it's all looking. Predictably, we see ETF forming up into their two discrete groups in the north and the south. This should not come as a surprise to ACR, who have seen this before. ACR separating out into different directions here at the moment. We shall see what exactly their plan is today. Upgraded engine for the JF-17. Oh, we can't make you guys too powerful. Give you everything you want, and then you'll just end up dominating the skies. So what are you guys thinking? Do you reckon ETF can pull off the same move again? Or do you reckon they'll switch it up a little bit and we'll get difference from our pincer movement? Arguably, ACR has better access to the Caucasus Mountains from the Sochi Adler spawn, as they can just proceed kind of along the southern route here. This mountainous terrain, of course, very good for hiding aircraft in. The big mountains of the Caucasus looking sussy. I'll just say that. Plenty of different places to hide. And valleys in which to battle. Of course, this is the similar bit of terrain that we saw Starry Fox 9 managed to turn around a 1-4 disadvantage into a win including a couple of guns kills. The mountains are where you have to know your airplane and use it well. We see the JF-17s climbing up to their preferred 30,000 feet and looking good while they do it. Now, you might wonder what the tactical advantage of flying in close formation like this is. Well, there are a bunch of advantages, but I think one of the biggest advantages is that it looks really cool. A formation this close, you can hide behind each other using your ECM pods. One of the benefits of using ECM is that you can kind of hide how many planes you have by just limiting the enemy's capacity to see you as two discrete blocks on their radar. And there, of course, we have the JF-17's GSH-23 cannon, which is deeply and desperately disappointing for anyone who's ever tried to use it against a plane. Of course, that's one of the fields where the F-16 has a massive advantage against the JF-17s, but if we see a gunfight today, I'd be impressed. The Russian boys did do it, yes. In fact, it's not uncommon to see the Su-27s and J-11s bring the ECM pods on the wings. Looks like 7 Fox and Spectator are the designated northern boys, while Big Meow is going up to 37,000 feet and cruising along at quite a pace. Yes, the 51st PVO and their associated colleagues do make extensive use. I'm looking forward to seeing them fight, just because they take the Su-27 and they show you what it's capable of. The JF-17 is going to enter the circle at nearly exactly the same time as ACR. Isn't it 4 Fox 3 limit? Oh shit. Oh no, they're Sparrows. It's got Sparrows on the back. I was going to say, might have to say something. No, Big Meow only has 4 AMRAAMs and 2 Sparrows to fill out the C formal tanks. ETF is beautifully flying in formation at the moment. What else could you want? Yeah, the Sparrows can look a little bit like an AMRAAM from the front. Of course, if you guys are excited by all of this satackery we've got going on here at the moment, I will also be casting a match tomorrow. In fact, let's just bring up the old schedule here and see what the schedule's looking like. Tomorrow, Sunday the 28th, I will be casting the 343rd KU versus 9G. And Plasma will be streaming Alamo Aggressors versus BK. Round 1 was fantastic. ETF did very well, but ACR proved not to be underestimated. Currently, 80 nautical miles of distance between the two groups. Big Meow locking onto and looking for this northern group at 80 nautical miles at this altitude. I think that the F-15E's radar probably has no trouble. Now, who remembers SATAC from last year? And who can remember that last year there was a very, very exciting, very cool trailer that came before each of the SATAC matches made by Adrian Capazzo. And remember that? Well, the good news is that there's another one. It's not ready just quite yet because Adrian's very busy at the moment. But on the 9th of February, we're expecting to have the SATAC 2023 action trailer, which is very, very exciting. We have Big Meow heading towards the northern group, 40,000 feet at 770 knots. Meanwhile, Breeze and Riker just cruising along at 565 knots at 30,000 feet. I reckon we'll see our first missile launches happening very soon. Trailers are meant to come before something, but don't you worry. When there's busy work happening on the line. Is DCS Movie 5? Oh, they're all so good. Eli 2-1 is one of my favorites. Okay, so it looks like we have Riker and Breeze with Anku up and below. Now, do we see the pincer maneuver happening between the two groups almost exactly 25 nautical miles away? In fact, this separation will... pardon me. They are almost always 25 nautical miles away from each other. Question is Big Meow lining up for a missile shot? Or is he just going to jink away? Looks like he's got his intel and he's not quite engaging. And there we see ETF activating their pincer maneuver again as they drop altitude and start heading towards the Crusher in the middle. No surprises there. They're by-the-book maneuvering. Spectator and 7 Fox and Big Meow all looking good. An SD-10A. Was that launched by Anku? Heading off the wings. I think that this missile's not meant to kill anyone. I think this missile is meant to spook the northern group away from the southern group, so that now this collection of JF-17s can defeat in detail this southern group. Because this missile is going up to 73,000 feet and probably has a lock on Sweet FA. I'd say that the correct choice is being made by ACR here, who are now turning northbound rather than getting themselves tangled in a battle where they will be outnumbered, and they have all decided to start turning northwest. So they've seen what happened last time, and they've said, we're not going to let you have it that easily again. Ooh, this is exciting. I'm so good. I'm bouncing up and down in my chair. I can't wait. This SD-10 appears to have locked on to the International Space Station, and yeah, we'll just leave it to its own devices. F-16's just kind of keeping everyone busy here at the moment. ACR looks like they've gathered up in the south again. Seven Fox and Spectre ought to be careful that they don't get cut off by Breeze, Riker, and Anku on the north. Hopefully Big Meow doesn't leave them totally alone. We're seeing the amount of aggression from ETF. This is characteristic of their flying, taking over the center of the map with alacrity, to say the very least. SD-10 out from Breeze. We are starting to see the battle start in earnest. Of course, when you see DCS battles like this from experienced teams, they will often launch missiles not with the intent to kill, but the intent to force reaction. We see 3 missile launches, 4 missile launches, 3 SD-10s off the wings, 2 of them heading towards 7 Fox. AIM-120Cs coming in response. Oh, 7 Fox, please don't tell me you have to react. AIM-120 off the wing, but have you left it too late? Get your notch happening, friend. And he explodes. One down. Unfortunate. Have an SD-10 heading in for Riker, but it's been pulled all the way down into that thick, low-altitude air and is losing all of its speed in no short order. That is one down for ACR. Big Meow being forced away by an SD-10 shot. Spectre also with an SD-10 to contend with, but it's not going very fast. Riker successfully spoofing the missiles that were heading towards him. The JF-17's operating very low, a massive altitude. You see, this is the thing, is that ACR has all the altitude in the world to work with. They've got altitude advantages against everyone at the moment, but they ETF is so confident in being able to spoof the missiles down low in the terrain. Now, if that turns out to be a demonstration of hubris, we have a 12 nautical mile shot towards Electro Bull and Pompey, with both of them turning and notching quite enthusiastically. The AIM-120C is hauling ass. But has it got track? That's not looking good. Looks like that Electro Bull might have gotten away with that one. More AIM-120Cs heading towards the northern group, with Breeze having to go low. This AIM-120C, I think, has lost its energy. Still has track, though. No dice. Another SD-10 shot towards Spectre, who's going to have to turn and burn and go low. SD-10 and AIM-120 is being traded between Lasky and Azarashi. I think that Spectre has comfortably defeated this SD-10 unless he turns away into it. This SD-10 is going at speed and has track of something, but hopefully we don't see ACR just fly straight into it. In the northern group, Spectre looks like he's defeated his SD-10. His AIM-120Cs are just falling out of the sky. Breeze, short-range shot against Morgan, who's at 20,000 feet. SD-10 is climbing up to altitude, but does it have track? Doesn't quite look like it does, but it may well pitbull onto that. Still a 5v6. This missile is going straight through the middle of all of ACR, but is not tracking anything. We have an A-120C against Anku, which is at deadly low range, deadly low altitude. Oh, has the ETF flown straight into it? No, not quite. The missile does not have the energy to secure that kill. Two more AIM-120Cs going in towards Breeze, who's going to have to pull some pretty exciting shapes to get away from those. Riker heading in to try and clean up on Spectre. How are these AIM-120Cs looking? Have we got a lock? Oh, jeez. It's just running out of energy at the last moment. Riker launches an SD-10 at Spectre, who is going to have to get low and turn hard. Dumping chaff as it goes, and that missile splashes directly beneath. No kill. God, this is low, and this is brutal. Breeze fires another SD-10, their last SD-10, towards Spectre, who is going to have to do something here, because that missile is coming for you. And no dice. Into the ground. It is now 4v6. We have an AIM-120C against Electro Bull, traveling at high speeds. But the question is, has it got anything? Doesn't quite look like it. An AIM-120C shot from only 7 nautical miles. Breeze is going to have to pull some shapes here to prevent that from reaching its mark, but if ETF always manages to pull away just in time. That missile spoofed against the terrain. This missile for ETF. They just ran out of energy right on the very edge of splashing the bandits. The only problem is that has ETF used too many SD10s? We see Breeze with no SD10s left. We see Pompey with one AIM-120C left. No AIM-120Cs, still some on the F-15. We are seeing everyone use up their Fox 3s with not much to show for it. Only 2 kills. Now, Pompey, please don't get complacent with this missile. Please don't get complacent with this missile. Is it tracking? Okay, it looks like it's managed to be defeated. Lasky launches another SD-10 at quite long ranges. ETF, having had spent a lot of their resources here, and the one thing the JF-17s don't want to find themselves in is BFM, where they give up all of their advantages. As Arashi, potentially responding too late to this SD-10. It looks like it's coming in for something. Oh, it was fired against Pompey. Okay. Big Meow is going cold against this SD-10 shot and fired an AIM-120C in response. It's going fast, and Riker is going to have a hard time getting fast enough to get away from that. Let's see if this connects. Come on, Riker. Looks like Riker has spoofed it against the terrain. Another AIM-120C going in against Breeze, who's going to have to just dodge it kinetically. Where did it go? No impact. This is just getting stressful. Morgan and Breeze, only 3 nautical miles separating them. And let's see. We've got a PL-5 shot right at close range. Impacts the terrain. 1 more PL-5 left, and then Breeze is down to his gun. So Breeze and Morgan in a close range knife fight. Breeze with 1 PL-5 left. He's directly in range, man. Does not want to waste this missile, that's the problem. And, Jesus. And my padlock button isn't working. PL-5 off the wings. Flares dropped in response, but they don't work. That PL-5 impacts. It is 3 versus 5. 6, rather. ETF are all still up in the air. We have Breeze and Pompey close up. AIM-9M comes off the wing. Splash! Down goes the first of the ETF. Breeze, out of ammo and out of options, sacrifices themselves to take away a couple of the resources. The precious resources we still have around. Someone remind me what the padlock button is to lock onto the nearest air unit. It's F9, isn't it? Or am I pressing the wrong button? Okay, we have another close range shot. We have an AIM-120C going against Riker at deadly short range. But it impacts the terrain! Oh, no. There we go. Right, F5 it is. My apologies. Okay, Pompey and Riker merging at close range. We have a AIM-7 shot. So the AIM-7 misses Anku. Pompey is merged. We have PL-5s off the wings. Oh, no, but that doesn't go for the flares. Big Meow takes away the ETF member in the north. It is a 2v4 now. But who has still got anything left? We have 2 AIM-9Ms on the F-16. Riker looks like the first one to take the fight. And they're going to merge now. He's got 1 PL-5 left. Oh, and a friendly PL-5 comes in and cleans up. It is Big Meow versus the world right now. Lasky, Electro Ball, Riker, and Dizzy all facing off ACR responding to the aggression. Oh, and looks like Big Meow has elected to get out of the aircraft, leaving this PL5 with a sad state of affairs, and with ETF dealt the hand of having to fly back to space. He surrendered. Yeah, he probably had absolutely no weapons left and was just left to handle 4 ATF members by themselves. Let's see what we've got to look at. Well fought, ACR. We'll see if ETF can get home, but I think at least one of them must have the fuel to get back. Let's have a look at the TAC view. Now this, we've already seen that ACR can adapt. So we see that the trap is set by ETF. And they say we're going to pincer maneuver right down into the middle and see if we can separate you guys out. This SD-10 shot from Anku heading out towards the northern group to keep them occupied. And then we see Breeze and Riker can see the exact moment they get the order where they say, we've broken away the ones in the north, let's go clean them up. And the group of 3 heads towards the combat area. Oh, very good, Alpha Gator. I'm glad to hear it. SD-10 shot from Breeze has the capacity to deal with Big Meow. And it's looking promising that Big Meow, fortunately, responds in time this time and drives that SD-10 into the ground. These launches back and forth just showing that everyone knows the edge of the effective range of these missiles and dealing with them. These SD-10s, many of them having the energy to potentially deal with something, but just not having their locks held for long enough for the Pitbull to find the target. These AIM-120C shots, this is where ETF shows their ability as a competitive team, when they know that they've got, yeah, you see, look at this. This AIM-120C, this is going to kill Electro Bull. But Electro Bull pulls down low, starts pulling shapes, brings the missile down into the thicker air, and then escapes it by pulling back up. Now with the energy advantage, this missile going at Mach 0.6 and Electro Bull going at Mach 0.8, completely safe. Meanwhile, over here, we have AIM-120Cs doing whatever it is an AIM-120C does. In fact, this missile, I think, potentially not having the best time in the world. Let's see where this thing goes. Looks like it might have caught a glimpse of Breeze or something, and then just... Oh, it was going for Anku. And Anku's just like, what the hell? The missile's just like, I don't know where I am. I'm just going to go into the dirt. Alright. Another pair of good AIM-120C shots, but you see Breeze, just like all of the members of ETF, they know the exact moment they need to pull down and just bring these missiles down into the thick air. ETF is good. It's the timings that matter for these battles. Yeah, the missile knows where it is because it knows where it isn't. However, this missile does not know where it is, and it doesn't know where it isn't either. The aggression being shown by ACR was exactly what was needed to break the back of the ETF attack. However, with that being said, ETF managed to keep their cool, even if only just. Spectre finding themselves out of position here. If it was only a 1v1, I think it would be fine, but the only problem is that ETF is able to coordinate their fight. That missile, now look at that. That is desperately close. But ETF and Riker will be communicating with each other enthusiastically. Now, let's see. If I can get anyone from ACR to come and have a chat with me. While we have a look at this engagement, let's see, I'll give you guys the split as we watch ETF start heading home. Breeze is very good, very organized, very battle. Very rough. And let's just see if I can get in touch with someone. While we have a look at the TAC view. The breeze can just make this look easy. Like a breeze, if I do say so myself. Okay, we're going to wait until we have both ETF and ACR ready to go, is the word I've been told. So we'll have to wait for ETF to go and land and do well. Now, what else have we got going on here? Let's follow Breeze and see what Breeze is up to for a little while. Of course, Breeze utilizing terrain masking here to take this AIM-120C that definitely has the speed to kill him, but just doesn't have the track. It's a tough fight, but as soon as that missile is off him, Breeze recommits to the attack. JF-17 suffering from the issue of potentially not having as much ordnance as you might want. Finding Morgan here, who's already pre-flaring the PL-5. So that missile's just going to get trashed straight away. A shame that Morgan decided to turn left instead of turning right. I feel as if getting into the one circle with Breeze would have potentially led to a situation where you could have beaten him in the rate fight, but no such luck. Breeze just finding himself in the midst of two ACR F-16s. And with no pre-flaring happening, that PL-5 finds its mark. Pompey realizes now that there is a JF-17 right in the middle of their business and turns in hot. AIM-9 goes off the wing, and Breeze is not going to get away from that one. Thank you for the follows, 1LET, Captain BTW, Smooth, Dat Source though, and Night Nikon. Pompey getting themselves a kill and cutting their teeth in SATAC. Let's have a look and see what it was that led Big Meow to decide that they'd had enough. So, going cold against SD-10s, and what is this? Is this an AIM-120? No, it's an AIM-7. This missile here, of course, semi-active, so tricky to keep a lock on the whole way, and it just looks like the lock has gone by this point. Can't wait for the JF-17's data link. And that thing has gone fully dumb. Big Meow looking at what's going on here. And I think the writing is on the wall at this point. Another AIM-7 launch. This one with a bit more potential. Just needs to maintain the radar lock. And you can just see the moment that Anku gets lost in the ground clutter there. And it looks like Big Meow should still have the gimbal to get the lock. Launches an AIM-9, but Anku is just... yeah, just pre-flaring an AIM-9. Good kill, Big Meow. Yeah, dealt with him, but I think Kia realized that he's just got no weapons left and is just done for. Which is a shame, because I think Big Meow in the first match was not a huge difference maker, but in the second match, I think, definitely kept ETF much more on their toes with the capabilities of the F-15E and keeping that altitude up. So it's a tough break. But of course, you've only got those Fox 3s, and you've got to take advantage of every single one of them. Only 4. Let's see. Now, this dogfight here is a strange one. I think that Pompey potentially didn't quite realize how close Riker was to the left. And this merge here is not the position you want to be in with Riker. Now you see that turn is rough. You should have kept your rate onto the left, because you've just fed yourself directly into a PL-5, which is a shame. Even with pre-flaring, that thing is gonna get you. But yeah, if you had turned left instead of turned right, you might have got it, but no dice. And Azarashi preparing for battle. Azarashi going in for the merge, but just getting pincered on both sides by both Riker. Ooh, Laxi, come on. I know you. On what planet did you think that PL5 was going to hit? Oh, I see, okay. That's understandable. A bit ambitious, but understandable. Meanwhile, Electro Ball is like, fine guys, I'll get him. It's fine. Azarashi going down in a blaze of glory. Getting clamped down on by a trident of JF-17s. No amount of flares in the world can save you from 3 separate PL5s coming from 3 separate directions. And bang, that is good night, Irene. Meanwhile, we have ETF preparing for their landing run. I think this time they may not quite have as many chaff and flare as they would like to show off with, but ETF is not above just a little bit of showboating, so maybe we'll get a formation landing here. Who is this that still has SD-10s? What are you doing with 3 SD-10s, Dizzy? Did you forget to fight? Oh no. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the flag of Texas? We've got Dizzy as a Texan here. Not me, for a brief moment thinking to myself, ah, must be Puerto Rican. Dizzy's the goat. Oh, I see. I always try and use gender-neutral terminology, so I hope you guys realize when I say the guys, I mean it in a all-encompassing way. Because of course we need to work as a community towards making DCS an accessible and exciting environment for people of all walks of life and backgrounds. These ETF liveries looking gorgeous as they prepare for landing, securing the victory for ETF. Of course they could still all of the... Oh, come on. Have you still got that many countermeasures left? You silly goose. Oh, well. Looks like we might be getting a formation landing, if we're lucky. Of course, once the ETF have all landed, we will be having a quick word from some of the participants of this match. Give them a chance to hear our praise and congratulate both ACR and ETF.
Actually, Airshow, they're wondering if we want to start the 45th, 81st interview.
Oh, you want to do that on my channel?
Yeah, because I fucking forgot to do it. So we could just do a quick one on your channel and then just go straight into your ETF and ACR interview.
Absolutely. Well, go ahead, bring them in.
Okay. I'll just take you up if that's okay.
Okay, sure. We're going to be hearing from AlphaGator and the participants of his match just to give them a chance to speak on stream. So if you were watching AlphaGator's match, or will catch it later, you will be able to hear from the participants. All right.
To you, so we will get the tracks up today as soon as we have finished all the streams. I'm from the master, I promise you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for all the contributions.
Here.
Nope.
Oh.
All right, AlphaGator, the stage is yours.
Yeah, so I forgot to do the interview. I'm a rookie streamer, so I apologize for that. I was supposed to do the interview, but also trying to manage the servers on the back end and make sure everything was running. So, fool on me, but thanks for taking the interview of the previous match. It was 45th versus CK81st. Great, just absolute great battle. It actually got down to, I think, 5v3 in favor of 81st in the first round. And then in the second round, again, came down to BFM. But just wanted, congratulations both teams. It was an amazing fight. The 81st had a 3v, I think 3v2, there at the end. But West and Wombat worked together. So 45th guys, just hand it over to you first. Do you want to discuss any tactics or things that stood out to you in the round, and we'll keep this short though.
Nothing really specifically. Just played our normal play style. We don't believe in ECM really, so we didn't take any jammers as you saw. Just need.
Just a waste of a slot for an extra fuel tank, especially for long matches like these.
Yeah. So what we did is we just did our formation as normal, whatever. Then we just saw ACSD light up with jamming. So then we're like, okay, we just need to just play it smart. And we knew, we try to hold our shots anyway to a really close range. So the jamming didn't affect too much because we burned through it way before we even wanted to shoot. So we kind of just went off of what they did. We saw the Eagles really high, so we knew what that game was all about. So we saw them, just tried to ignore them, because the thing about the Eagle is once you play that type of play style, you have to fly a long period of time to be able to maintain that altitude and speed. So we knew once they passed over us, they can't just drop down. So we kind of let them do their thing, and we just focused the Vipers, and they took the Eagles last. Because there's no point in trying to kill them, because nothing's going to hit them, and we're not going to try to waste missiles on them. So
they did. I will say, in the second round, they got behind both rounds. They got behind the formation.
We knew. We
didn't got
care.
3 kills with the 15s. So,
well, I would say the first round they didn't get any kills from that. The second round they did. I think we got one death, maybe an Eagle, on the first round. But we knew they flanked us the first round. We saw them again. I mean,
we're just gonna take the targets of Daylink first because we're actually much higher priority. They can do a lot more on the Eagles.
Think about it, and they're behind us, and we're moving forward, so the closure is not there to even really get a good PK. So we took care of them later.
All right, 81st. That was great fight getting down to BFM there at the end. Anything you'd like to discuss about the match?
It seems like they're all deafened right now.
They're all deafened.
Yeah.
They're literally all deafened. Yeah.
Quite unfortunate.
Okay, well then, great job, 45. I mean, I will say the notching and terrain masking was top notch there, pushing in, trashing missiles. There was an opportunity there for 81st had 120s there at the end, and you guys were down to 9Ms. They could have extended possibly, but
that's the thing.
No, it was a great match.
That's the thing what we said that I just said about the Eagles. Those were 2 Eagles left. So literally to be able to even do that, it takes 5 minutes to turn around, because they were Mach 1.9 or whatever, that high.
Yeah,
they can't just turn in. Yeah, they can't.
Yeah, they Fox, and we Fox on them. They have to defend for a long time because our armor's critical. They're so high up, so little air resistance. So they have to do a 20-mile loop around.
Yeah,
and
they can't do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, think of it as in
No, I know, but I'm talking about the end of the match. It was East one versus West. He had
Yeah.
120s wested.
He can't though.
but
He can't do anything because he's holding the altitude and speed.
And he has no
He's
tail link as well. So.
Yeah, it's impossible. It's like a 2 circle when you're inside someone's circle. You can't get out of it. Like they can't.
No, we're just on about the BFM at the end.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that's kind of like the equation. Like when he's that high and that fast, you can't turn.
Okay, we'll talk about it later. He was actually not high and fast, but anyway, could have extended. But great match. I'll hand it over to Air Show to talk about that ETF match against
Cool.
ACR.
Thank you very much. And I see that we have Spectrebase here from ACR. Congratulations. Was this your first SATAC style match?
Yes, this is our first SATAC match. Like from Asia region, I'm just compete a small match, and this one is the first time of us here. Yes.
And you are all from Thailand?
Yes, we are from Thailand. Yes, very like small community from like flight sim community.
And I believe that your accomplishment last year was winning ARCO in 2v2 BVR. How do you find flying with 6 pilots instead of 2?
Yes, this is the worst part we can do today because it's a different thing. Like from 2 to 4, the 6 is the most difficult part we have to like manage when like in each airplane. Yes, it's very different thing. Yes, I have to say. And congratulations to ETF. Yes.
Well, I was going to say that I think that you guys, for newcomers, have done an absolutely fantastic job. If you were to do it again and fight those matches a second time, what do you think you would do differently?
Yes, honestly, we don't have to practice with JF-17 that much, and I just know. I think I would like to have take a look at the tech view, what we did wrong with the evading of the SD10. Yes, it's
Absolutely.
like something that surprised me. In this event, we just have a small practice with our pilot flying JF-17. It's so differently from them. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it surprised me. Yes.
Well, we have Breeze and Aspen from ETF here as well. So if you have anything you would like to say to ETF or any shout-outs that you would like to make, please feel free, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to thank you, and maybe my pleasure to find I'm following the competition for, and I know ETF everywhere, and I think it's bad luck for me to get the first round with them. Yes.
Well, you're going against some real veterans. ETF, how'd you guys go?
That was a good match. That was pretty fun. We enjoyed it. I hadn't really heard of ECR before this, so it was a little. We had to be pretty cautious going into it. We didn't know what they flew. We don't know anything about them, so it was a little scary beforehand since we really didn't have any idea what we were getting into. But after round 1, nerves calmed down a little.
And we have to talk about this pincer maneuver that you guys, last year and this year, break up in your 2 groups and you pinch in on the middle. What's the thinking?
Honestly, we do it to dump bags most of the time, and this maneuver was really helpful when we flew against Tomcats back in the day, because the Phoenix would be a big problem, often beaming inwards would just defeat the Tomcat radar, so it would make it a lot easier. But it works. It still works to this day. It's just more of a, it helps you get established in the fight. When you turn inwards, you're pretty safe. You can dump your bags. You can get into proper air configuration. Then you can turn back in. That's kind of mainly what it's for. But we do have other things we can do. It doesn't necessarily have to be that we can do.
Absolutely. And in that second match, it felt like getting closer to the end that everyone had kind of was getting a little low on SD10s, except for Dizzy, who held on to all of them. Was it getting a bit stressful at the end, thinking you might not have the missiles to clean up?
Well, in round 2, they pushed the right side, our right group, pretty heavily. They tried to outnumber us on that side. We realized that, and the main idea at the time was to expend our load a little bit earlier, keep them further back, whilst waiting for our left group to come over and help us. because they're on their 16s and whatnot. They're so a little bit faster. They can get to our side before our group can get to our side to help us. So you have to be a little careful when it comes to, getting outnumbered. We were pretty much in a 3v5-ish, basically, on the right side. But a few of them ended up pushing in a little bit more than they probably wanted to. Got themselves trapped, and that's how it kind of calmed down a little bit, because it's like, oh, okay, they just over pushed. I don't think they meant to do that, and it made it pretty easy on the right side. We just caught a few of them out.
Absolutely. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, and you don't have to answer this because I understand you've got plenty of competition left to go. But considering ACR is a new squadron and haven't run into the JF-17 too much before, if you wanted to give them a bit of advice on how to face up against JF-17s, what would you say?
To go against the Jeff. At the moment, we're pretty handicapped because we don't have data link, so I'd probably take advantage of that. Probably in some way.
The lack of situational awareness, yeah.
Yeah, we're fully reliant on AWACS, and we all know how trash that is. So, having even when we had AWACS, we pretty much didn't really care. We always our style was relying on the peer-to-peer aspect. Like how I died in round 2, my data link told me that the guy was at my 3 o'clock, so I was looking right the whole time, and then I got a MAWS warning from my left, and I look left, and there's an AIM-9 right there. But Riker had radar on him the whole time, so if we had peer-to-peer, it would have told me exactly where he was, and I probably could have pointed my nose there a lot easier. I should have been visual, but I wasn't sure if there's a guy there or not. It could have been a ghost contact, and I might just be looking outside for no reason. So that's like, if we had peer-to-peer, I probably could have dealt with that situation a little bit better, because I really had no idea he was even there.
Yeah, no, I'm having a look at the TAC view now, and that definitely just came out of the blue, for sure. Okay, well, any final words for ACR, or any shout-outs you'd like to make, or anything else you'd like to do? Go ahead, the stage is yours.
Oh, not much really. Yes, maybe I'd like to thank you, EGF, to give me a good experience. It's the first time we have our first time here. We hope we can do better next time. Thank you.
Yeah, it was a good match, honestly. The first time we played anyone from Thailand, it was really good. We enjoyed. I think they have a lot of potential. I do want to see them in the tournament and see their next match. I'm not sure if they play next or when, but we'll definitely be having a really, really close eye on them and everyone else.
Okay.
As far as shout out is I want to probably give a good one to the team. They all do really well, and I give a shout out to that's it. Yep, the team.
No worries then. Okay, well, I'll leave you guys to it. Thank you both for a very, very good match, and good luck with the rest of SATAC.
Thank you. Thanks for the stream.
Yes, thank you.
My pleasure. Alright, guys. Oh. A little bit of scuff to end the day, and now that everyone is home and safe, let's update that score and say thank you very much for being here for the first round of SATAC 2023. Congratulations to ACR and ETF. Well done on your participation. Congratulations on ETF for making it through and winning their first match. I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves. My next SATAC stream will be on Sunday the 28th, where the 343rd KU versus 9G, and Plasma will also be streaming at 6 o'clock, Zulu time of course, Alamo Aggressors versus BK. I'm going to just wrap up here and end. No raids just this time. But I hope you guys enjoy yourselves, and don't forget that if you like my content, you can hit that follow button down below. You're also more than welcome to join in on my Discord and follow me on Twitter to keep up to date with what I get up to. Thank you very much to the SATAC organisers for allowing me to be a part of their competition, and thank you to all of the participants for showing off your incredible abilities within DCS. Alright guys, I'll see you tomorrow for one more round of SATAC 2023. Thanks guys, I'll see you later.